The Detroit Pistons have won 11 of their last 15 games, and in that 15-game stretch, Cade Cunningham has put the association on notice, looking like not only one of the best first options in the league, but one of the best at his position in the league. Boasting a stat line of 26, 9, and 6 in his last 15, it's clear that his time has come. And just before the making of this video, he led the Detroit Pistons over the highly touted second-seeded Houston Rockets with a stat line of 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists as they won by 11 points, not even allowing the Rockets to score 100 points. Cade was 12 of 22 from the field, but he was special in the third quarter, which has been his MO this whole season. Cade has been especially good in the beginning of games and right after halftime, and it's shown and proven the difference for the Pistons and their scoring effort this season. Those of us who have been Cade fans since he came into the league a few years ago, we already knew this was in him. This was his game. And this was the development we expected when he first was drafted in 2021 as the #1 overall pick. The one roadblock to him not posting the accolades to the likings of guys like Anthony Edwards and Paolo Banchero is more so him being a victim of the situation. We already knew this team has not done him any favors by putting people around him that are cohesive with his game. I can admit though, after watching Cade this season, I think he's starting to understand how his offense as a scorer opens up for him as a playmaker, and we're going to explore that a little bit more in this video. Now, before we do get into the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. A big portion of you guys watching this video are not subscribed. I would graciously appreciate it. It will help the channel, and it will push our discussions even further, allowing me to make more videos at a more consistent, rapid pace. If you are a returning subscriber or just a returning viewer in general, first of all, welcome back. But secondly, make sure you drop a like, comment what video you watched the last time you was here, and let's hop into the video. So honestly, we know in this newer NBA, a lot of the best players, well, scratch that. In general, some of the best basketball players of all time have been magnificent with their pace, being able to slow down, speed up, stop on a dime, pivot, hit a shot at awkward angles, and all these various different ways to use the defense's aggressiveness against them. As it relates to Cade Cunningham, his pace is absolutely magnificent. In just his 4th season in the league, I'd like to say Cade Cunningham has mastered that slow drive to the basket, the slow methodical drive we see from the likes of Luka Doncic, sometimes SGA, and very many scorers in the league today that are averaging upwards of 30 points per game. Let's take this play against the Knicks, for example. He sets up the high screener roll with Isaiah Stewart at the top of the key, and first he uses the double cross to set up Deuce McBride, forcing him to try and step over that screen. Of course, the screen slightly ties up Deuce McBride, even causing him to stumble a little bit. And even still, Cade Cunningham doesn't rush to get to his spot or anything. He even lets Deuce McBride catch up because he realizes he has a smaller defender anyway. And Jericho Sims did a great job in drop coverage, being able to guard the drive and the diving Stewart. So instead, Cade Cunningham said, I'll just take the little guy that's on me and shoot over the top of him from this mid-high post area. Let's take another clip from the same game where we see a more lengthier, more versatile defender on him in Mikal Bridges. He sets Mikal up with a high pick with Jalen Duren. He actually uses the pick this time. And this time you see him driving to the lane, but forcing Cat to make a decision. And as soon as he sees Karl-Anthony Towns step over to Duren, he knows he has that step on Mikal and can make the easy layup. This isn't done without pace being involved from the start of the play. His patience is immaculate as it relates to letting the play develop and letting the foundation of the play set in. He's not in a rush when he sees the action between Tim Hardaway and Jalen Duren. He notices they get nothing out of it, no switch, nothing. So he continues on to the secondary portion of the play, which is the 2-man between him and Duren. And at this point, it's just a read and react. Now, of course, he could have dropped that pocket pass in between Bridges and Cat to Duren, which would have been a tough pass and would have forced Duren to go to Tobias. So it made more sense just for him to keep it, see if he could either get a late dump down or the finish. And in this case, he got the finish for 2. Coming into his 4th season, he came into it with a polished mid-range game, high end to elite playmaking ability, And most importantly, one of the ways that we've all wanted him to get better at, both quantity and efficiency wise, is the 3-ball. And he shot that very well this season, even in moments where the Pistons really need it. Plays like this one where he seals the deal against the Suns with a step back 3 on KD, or when he put the moves on Austin Reeves and finished over Braun during the fourth quarter of Detroit's win over the Lakers. These are the types of things that can put Pistons fans at ease with the fact that they found their point guard of the future and their franchise player for the ensuing future. While the Pistons as a whole are still a work in progress, they're missing their second star in Jaden Ivey, who is having a breakout year in his own right. They still have a couple wins under their belt that are of the highest of quality. They have 2 wins over the Lakers, they have a win over Phoenix, they have wins over Orlando, Minnesota, New York, and again today, the Houston Rockets. Something that no Pistons fan should scoff at. You're dealing with the Western Conference teams with ease, and that's supposed to be the harder conference. Cade himself has been going toe-to-toe with some of the association's best, like when he finished with the season high 40 points on just over 50% shooting and 50% from 3 with 9 assists and 6 boards en route to a win against the Timberwolves. The thing about Cade that I love to see personally, that we often see in some of the best stars like Giannis and Jokic, is the fact that he can take over for what feels like full quarters. Like we saw this in the first and third quarter of the Minnesota game. He came out the second half and started the game with a dog type appetite to score, and no one on the Timberwolves could do anything about it. Or like today, where he scored 19 points in the third quarter against the Houston Rockets. Not only is Cade's basketball IQ growing, but he's understanding the game as a whole. He understands how to set a tone, set a pace, and keep that pace for the rest of the game. And we're seeing this team finish a lot more games behind Cade Cunningham's dominance. To exemplify his IQ growth with regard to setting a tempo and pace for the game, let's look at this first play against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Cade grabbed the board and immediately pushed the ball up the floor after a Rudy Gobert miss. Obviously, Detroit had numbers on the break, and anyone who watches this team on the regular could have very well expected a Cade to Duren lob, but instead, Cade notices that the rim has no protector. Rudy Gobert is lazy getting back on defense, and it's being anchored by Mike Conley. He immediately hit the gas, blew by Jaden McDaniels, and punched it home. Of course in this game, but overall in this season, Cade is getting to his spots, getting in a rhythm, and not only did it show, but he felt it. Let's take another play from the first quarter of this game, and if you guys couldn't tell, this is one of my favorite games from Cade thus far this season. Cade goes behind the back, looking to create some space for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Now, Walker did a great job closing that space and not allowing Cade to have a comfortable look to shoot, but then Cade did the Tim Hardaway killer crossover, drives, shoulder bumps his defender, and fades away for an easy midi just below the free throw line on his way to 14 third quarter points. Now, years ago, I made a video regarding Cade and this team and how they're going to be on the development arc going forward. Of course, they're about a year or two behind because I did liken their rebuild to the Houston Rockets and other teams alike. Now, the front office did drop the ball in not getting vets and some coaching there that would help this team come along, but with the hiring of JB Bickerstaff and this new direction that this Detroit team is going, it looks as if they're in the right direction. Cade Cunningham and the Pistons have undoubtedly taken strides this season. They're a 500 team for the first time in what feels like a decade. So far in January, Cade is top 3 in total points scored, sandwiched between Ant and Jalen Green at the time of this writing. And last year at this point, they were 3-35 compared to a now 22-21. And even further, as it stands right now, they're in that play-in race to be able to get one of those 7 or 8 seeds to make the playoffs, so long as they stay where they're at. Oftentimes, we can see stars progressing while the team isn't that good. I think Cade's progression have directly correlated to his team's progression, even with Jaden Ivey out. It was hard for Cade to really put the team on his back, but now that you have added vets in Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Malik Beasley, it makes it that much easier for him to play good basketball and efficient basketball, something that we hadn't seen in his first 3 years. I am making a first-time All-Star video soon, and Cade Cunningham definitely will be on that list and in the conversation, and if he isn't on there, it would be a crazy snub. But at this point, I really want to know what you guys think. How do you feel about Cade Cunningham, and how do you feel about the Detroit Pistons and their development going forward? I put out a tweet earlier today saying that they're going to be a team with the Rockets in the next 4 to 5 years that's in the finals, and you can book it. I think both teams are making strides to be at the top of the food chain, and they will be there very soon. Now, if you haven't liked, comment, or subscribed already, not sure what you're doing. Now, if you don't like the video, go ahead and dislike it. I don't mind. Just provide some constructive feedback. Let me know how I can get better. But until next time, it is your boy TB with the greatest soup stories and debates on the tube. I appreciate you guys as always. And until next time, I'm out.
He tryna figure out where his bitch and she in the back tryna tell me it's real.